Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at how to build a custom ribbon, and then once we've built that custom ribbon we're going to attach some useful buttons. These buttons are going to drive macros to speed up our work. So once we're inside Excel, we need to go into the Developer tab and open up Visual Basics. If you've never used this before, you probably won't be able to see it. The way to enable it is we're going to right click on the ribbon, customize the ribbon. On the right hand side you've got your tabs. If we look down here we can see the developer, so we'll tick that, click OK. Now I have access to the Developer tab and we can see Visual Basics. The shortcut to get into Visual Basics is Alt and F11. Once we're inside Visual Basics, you should be able to see your personal workbook macro. You can see at the moment we can't see one because we've not started to work with it. So I'm going to close that. We're going to click Record Macro. Don't worry about the name for now. What's important is where we're going to store this macro. So make sure this selection is on your personal macro workbook. And the first time we do this, this is going to create that workbook for us. So we'll click OK. I'm going to hit Stop Recording. Now this time if we go back into Visual Basics, so Alt and F11, you can see now we have the personal macro workbook. And also, when you're in this window, if you ever want to know where this file is stored, this is the path. And to find that path, you can type this command in to your immediate window. You might not see this immediate window at first, but if you click View, Immediate Window, that will show it down the bottom. So the command we want to put into this window is this workbook.path. If we enter that, you can see this then returns where the path is. And if I copy this, paste that in. At the moment you can see there's no personal workbook macro there. If I go back into Visual Basics, hit the Save button, that's going to save our workbook. And then we can just check that by going back into File Explorer, and you can see we now have our file. If you're new to Visual Basics, I'm not going to go into depth in this video, but you just basically need to expand out your personal workbook macro project, expand out the modules within it, and here's where we can store our code. At the moment we've got module 1 by default. I'm going to call that formatting for this particular example because I'm going to give some example of some useful formatting macros. I'm going to double click it to open up a module. Within that module we have this macro 1 which was generated as part of that recording macro. I'm going to delete within there. I'm going to call this underscore 0dp for number format, 0 decimal places. You can't have spaces in your subroutine names, so just use underscores for gaps. The code that we want to use here starts with selection dot. So this basically tells the code that wherever the cell or cells are selected to apply this code to. The next part of the code is number format, and then equals, and then we're going to put within speech marks what our format should be. I'm going to leave that there for now. We're going to go back into Excel and we're going to work out what format we should use. So I like 1000 separators, negatives in red and negatives within brackets. Let's give a demonstration of that. I'm going to set this up so that we have the code. So we've got 1,000,000 written here. Now if we go into the formatting, so we can go to Home, Number Formatting, or the shortcut for that is Control-1. I'm going to go down to Custom. I'm going to use this as our starting point. Now the only edit we need to do here is to put brackets around this, and we're going to put another semicolon and a dash. So in case you're not aware of how the formatting works, anything before the first semicolon is for the positives. After the first semicolon is for your negatives. So you can see here we're defining this as red, and then brackets around the number. Then anything after the third semicolon is for how we want to treat our zeros. So I'm going to replace zeros with this dash. So now that we've got that format in, I'm going to copy it, hit OK. Now you can see we've got that. I'm just going to give a demonstration of how that looks with a negative. That's exactly what we want to achieve with this macro. So we'll go back into Visual Basics. After our speech mark, we're going to paste in what we've just copied. Then we're going to close the speech marks. I'm just going to make this window slightly smaller so that we can see it in action. I'm going to change this cell back to general formatting. So once you've got your code set up in here, there's two ways of executing it. You can use this play button, which will just step through the whole subroutine. You can see the shortcut for that is F5, or you can use the F8 key to step through your code line by line, which is helpful when you're troubleshooting long code. As we've only got one line, we're just going to hit the play button. Now you can see that the formatting's been applied as we expected. So now we've recorded our first bit of Visual Basics code. How do we then get that code to work straight off a button within our new ribbon? Let's take a look. Now we want to create the custom ribbon. I've already created this, so I'm just going to right click on the ribbon, customize the ribbon. I'm going to click on my custom one and I'm going to remove it. So what you'll be greeted with is this view. Click New Tab. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this one Ben. And then within your ribbon you can have groups. I'm going to call this one Formats. And you can choose symbols to do with that group. I'm going to use the little paints symbol. Now, what we need to do, you can see at the moment we've got a clear ribbon, nothing on it. So we can add inbuilt functions. So possible reasons for this is you might use various items off the existing ribbons and you just want to have them all in one place, all the common things that you use without having to look through each of these. To do that, you can just go to All Commands, and then within here is every single possibility that you can add into your ribbon. Some of these will already exist in these existing ones, and some of them are items that you can't actually access directly through the ribbon. So have a look through that, see if there's anything useful. But for this particular example, we're going to have a look at how we assign that macro that we've just recorded. So we're going to click on macros, and then you can see here, this is within our personal workbook, and then you can see the name of the subroutine that we've just recorded. So remember that was num0dp. So we're going to select that. We're going to click add whilst we're on this format, and you can see that drops it in here. We're going to give it a bit more of a useful name. I'm going to call it 0_dp. Then I'm going to use this little paintbrush symbol. And I'm going to click OK. So if we go back into our ribbon that we just created, you can see now we have that button. I'm just going to put these two formats back to general. Then I'm going to click back into the ribbon, 0dp, and you can see that's executed our macro to apply 0 decimal places, negative within the brackets and in red. And then just to test the zeros working after the semicolon, that should become a dash. There we go. Okay, so now I'd like to add a few more macros into this routine. So I'm going to copy this subroutine, I'm going to paste it below, and then I'm going to call this 1 decimal place. I'm just going to pop an extra .0 after the first positive number and a .0 there. I'm going to copy that again. We're going to do the same for 2 decimal places. I'm just going to add an extra 0 in and an extra 0 in after the negative. Okay, so now we can assign those after to buttons. We've got 0 decimal place, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place. Another useful format I find is to convert numbers into thousands. So when you're dealing with big numbers, that's rounded by 1,000 and it shows K in the box. So I'm going to put number 0dp _K, and the format and we'd want for that is comma after there, and then we want within speech marks K. However, within VBA, anything within the speech marks needs to be within another set of speech marks. Then we're going to do the same after this, comma, double speech marks K, double speech marks. I'm just going to test that out whilst we're in here. So if I select that cell, click on this, F5, then you can see that 1 million's turned into 1000K. I'm going to quickly copy that, and we're going to do exactly the same, but for 1 and 2 decimal places with thousands. I'm just going to add in .0 at the end, .0, and then for this one, .00, .00. We can quickly test this one. Press F5. We've got our 2 decimal places. Another useful one is if you're working with even bigger numbers, you want to show them as millions. So we're going to copy these routines. We're going to change them to million, and instead of a K, we'll have an M. And all we need to do is add in an extra comma after the existing comma. This will be 1 dp M. Extra comma in here. Just change the case to M. And for this last one, I'm just going to copy this code, because it'll be quicker just to add in the extra 0. And I'm going to change the subroutine name to M. We can just test that out. So if we press F5 whilst we're in that subroutine, you can see we've got 1 million with 2 decimal places, 1 million with 1, and 1 million with none. If you're like me, you don't like using merge cells and all the problems that come with them, so we use center across selection. The only trouble is it's quite a few clicks to get to the format you need. So let's assign that to a button. Instead of using Control 1, alignment, horizontal, center across selection, we're going to set that up as a one-click button. Going back into Visual Basics, we'll call this subroutine center AS, and then the code we need for that starts with selection again, because we're going to be dealing with the selected range of cells, and then it's horizontal alignment equals, and then we want XL center across selection. And if we just test that out, we'll just put test in here, highlight these 3 cells, F5, and that works. So to finish this video off, we just need to add all those custom subroutines we've just made onto our ribbon as buttons so that we can quickly execute the code. So within Excel, we're going to right click on the ribbon, customize ribbon. We're going to go back into macros. Just make sure you clicked on the group that you want to add these into first. Then we'll click add. So I'm just going to go through and rename all of these and give them an icon. Okay, now we've got all those added. Click OK, and you can see our ribbon now contains all the buttons. We can quickly test these. No decimal places, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, no decimal place with 1,000, 1, 2 decimal place, and then rounded by millions, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, and then we can just put test here, highlight 3 cells, center across selection. So that's how to create some short macros for common tasks, and then how to quickly be able to access them from your own custom ribbon. Let me know in the comments, guys, what things you think are useful to be in the ribbon, and please hit like and subscribe.